G'day guys, welcome to my RX Plus feature video. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about NRL Round 11 recap preview for 2021 guys, so let's get started. So starting off with the first game of this match, we see there's Cowboys going up against the Knights now, and this game was absolute pretty much authentic. The Knights didn't really do really well. They are struggling with so many potential in this match, but the Knights didn't really do that much into that consistent. But unfortunately though, the Knights are struggling with so many points leading to them. But unfortunately though, since they are losing players, losing injuries, they're just not really doing that much ball like at the moment. But it was 36 points to 20 for that scoreline in that match, and thankfully the Cowboys won in that game. But in that match, really consistent. I didn't think that the Cowboys were going to win in that game, but in that match really didn't do really well, the Newcastle Knights, but yeah, I feel so sorry for them anyway. Let's have a look at the Newcastle Knights tries. So what we have here is Swaso Su, Nari Tuala, Lachlan Fitzgibbon and Stafford Toa. Let's have a look at the Cowboys tries. What we have here is Murray Tuolangi that scored 3 tries, Reece Robson, Valentine Holmes, Mitchell Dunn and Callum Lukey. Congratulations to him for making his NRL debut. Really wonderful to see a new player finally enough. He basically made his NRL debut for the Cowboys. He really did really well in that game, and thankfully finally enough. The Cowboys didn't really push hard, but yeah, really executing the game. That was 36 points to 20, that scoreline was, and credit to the Cowboys for making a really good win against the Newcastle Knights. The next game of that match, we see the Warriors going up against the West Tigers. Now, I was vlogging this game. This game was so tight, really hard match. The West Tigers in the first half didn't do really well. The Warriors did absolutely crucially well. The West Tigers did really well, but unfortunately the Warriors didn't do really well in that game. So I was at that game, so if you guys can have a look at my vlog and basically get viewers, basically I can review my thing. So basically, yeah, that game was pretty much a really tight game, so I was at that game vlogging that match. So if you guys go check out my latest vlog, that would be much appreciated. But it was 30 points to 26 in that game, and the West Tigers were just hanging on, but unfortunately though, they only lost by 4 points in that game. But it was pretty much an average game in that match, but really didn't work itself really well. But unfortunately though, the West Tigers, they were really getting to that point that they want to win. But unfortunately though, since the Warriors didn't really make that mark, if they were going to lose in that game, it was basically a determined match anyway. But let's have a look at the West Tigers tries. What we have here is Luke Garner that scored 2 tries, David Norfoluma and James Tamo. Let's have a look at the Warriors tries. What we have here is Marcelo Montoya that scored 2 tries, Jack Murchie, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, Reece Walsh and Wade Egan. My player of the game went to number 1, but it was number 17 in that game from the Warriors, Reece Walsh. The next game of that match, we see the Sharks going up against the Dragons. Now, in this game, the Dragons, this match was absolutely pretty tight. Without Matt Duffy due to a shoulder injury, which that means Cody Ramsey coming into that fullback squad, this game was going to be so tight, and I didn't think the Dragons were going to be really putting pressure on the Sharks in this game. But in that match, this game was so going to be hard, and I knew because it was going to be a field goal game, and I knew the Sharks were going to get this one like in the bag because like they only just won by 1 point by a field goal in that game, which that means 13 points to 12 that scoreline was, and credit to Chance Townsend for kicking that field goal anyway, for making his really good point in that game. But and that match was absolutely pretty much a good game so far, but I just didn't think the Dragons were going to win in that game, but it was going to be pretty much a hard game in that match anyway. But the only try that basically scored in that game for the Dragons was Max Fegai, that only scored 2 tries in that game. But let's have a look at the Sharks tries. What we have here is Connor Tracy and Will Kennedy. And the field goal in that game that basically kicked for the Sharks was number 7 from the Cronulla Sharks, Chad Townsend, in that match. Credit to him. And my player of the game went to number 7 from the Cronulla Sharks in that match, Chad Townsend. I think he had a wonderful game, really stand out for the Cronulla Sharks. Every single time he gets the ball, he just does a wonderful job, but really concedes like a really good game for any other matches, but sometimes he does struggle in that match. But yeah, credit to him and credit to the Sharks in that game. The next game of that match, we see the Titans going up against the Bulldogs. Now, Bulldogs are really struggling real bad, and what I mean by bad is absolutely really bad. And the Bulldogs are just not really conceding a lot of points at the moment, and they only won 1 game at the moment, and like they've lost like 17 matches, and that's just really terrible by that team. And in this match, like the Titans were absolutely really on top of their form. They were solid, average, and really competing against this good quality team. But like the Bulldogs, they are an alright team, but like since they've got they only just lost by 10 points, and it's like last year how the Titans were losing and really didn't get their point in that game. It's like that, but now it's the Bulldogs' turn to basically get the wooden spoon. It was just really competitive in that game, but yeah, it was 30 points to 20 for that scoreline in that match. But yeah, let's have a look at the Bulldogs' tries. What we have here is Chris Smith, Nick Kotrick, Nick Meaney, and Luke Thompson. Let's have a look at the Titans' tries. What we have here is AJ Brimson that scored 2 tries, Tino Fasola, Mother Awi, Philip Sammy, and Jared Walsh. And my player of the game, obviously, in that match went to number 1 from the Gold Coast Titans in that game, AJ Brimson. I think he had a wonderful match in that game. Really stand out pretty hard. He's just a really speedster, and he's just a wonderful player that just really gets the benefit of the doubt in that match. And I just think since he has a wonderful career, I just think he has a wonderful career for this season anyway. The next game of that match, we see the Roosters going up against the Broncos. Now, in this game, though, the Broncos, they were so solid in that match, and I didn't think in this game that the Broncos didn't really... I thought they weren't going to get a win, but unfortunately they did. And I didn't think in this match the Broncos, they were pretty much a solid team. But unfortunately, yeah, they did. But yeah, really good performance by the Brisbane Broncos. That really stood out hard in that game. And credit to David Mead. He was an absolute really good player. That really stood out pretty hard in that game. But yeah, Albert Kelly, since he came back from the Super League, he really did really well also too, and stand out for the halves. But in that match was 34 points to 16, and I understand by the Roosters that they weren't really competing like really well because Drew Hutchison is out with a punctured lung and a fractured rib. he has been rushed to hospital around like 3 times already with a punctured lung. Hope he gets well. Hope he does really well. But yeah, I just didn't think in this game was going to be pretty much on top of their form in that match anyway. But yeah, since they are a really good team, I just don't think that they are a really good team. So anyway, but in that match, let's have a look at the Roosters tries. What we have here is Angus Crichton, Daniel Tupou and Satili Tupanua. Let's have a look at the Broncos tries. What we have here is Dale Copley, David Mead, that scored 3 tries, John Asiata and Keenan Palasia. And my player of the game went to number 5 from the Brisbane Broncos, David Mead. The next game of that match, we see the Raiders going up against the Storm now. In this game, like the Raiders, I just didn't think that the Storm were going to really thrash this team, and unfortunately they did. 34 points to 10 in that game, and this game was absolutely pretty much an off-topic game because the Storm are a really solid base team, and you can't really beat the Melbourne Storm if it is a crappy team that just doesn't really improve. But since the Raiders are struggling with so many players out due to Chante Nickel-Clockstead got a head injury, neck injury, he'll be out for the season. This is a spoiler to tell you guys. He'll be out for the season, so next year he'll be playing. No George Williams. Unfortunately, he's gone to Super League now. I think he's gone to Super League. I'm not too sure about that, but I heard that Raiders kicked him out of the door. But yeah, apparently all of the news about George Williams, it's not true. He hasn't been released at the moment, but he has actually been released. But I'm not too sure about it, but I don't want to really get further into it. But anyway, let's have a look at the Raiders tries. What we have here is Bailey Simonson and Elliot Whitehead. Let's have a look at the Storm tries. What we have here is Nelson Asafa-Solomona that scored 2 tries, Chris Lewis, Remus Smith, Tom Eisenhuth, and Trent Loiero. And my player of the game, I think it went to number 13 from the Melbourne Storm in that match that scored 2 tries. This player, Nelson Asafa-Solomona, he was an absolute wonderful player that really stand out in that game that scored 2 tries in that match to really seal the deal and made it 34 points to 10 in that game. The next game of that match, we see the Rabbitohs going up against the Panthers now. And this game was a country match, obviously Apex Oval and Dubbo. This game was absolutely really tough, really hard, which I wasn't expecting the Rabbitohs to really struggle in that game since they got back Latrell Mitchell, Adam Reynolds, Josh Mansour. I'm not too sure about Cameron Murray. I think he was still out, but I'm not too sure about that. But yeah, since Latrell Mitchell didn't really do really well, unfortunately, and the Rabbitohs just didn't really hang on. This good Panthers side that just really don't like losing, and every single time they play against any other team, they're just really a top finisher, and they're just like the Melbourne Storm. They are a really good base team, and I'm just not expecting them to basically win 12 wins in a row. And this team is just absolutely really a really good team, and the Panthers were just absolutely really good in that match. But it was 56 points to 12 in that game anyway. But Matt Burton was just an absolute freak in that game. They really scored a couple of tries in that match. So let's have a look at the Rabbitohs tries. So what we have here is Josh Mansour and Cody Walker. Let's have a look at the Panthers tries. What we have here is Nathan Cleary that scored 2 tries, Viliami Kikau, Kurt Capewell, Matt Burton that scored 3 tries, Brian To'o and Stephen Crichton. And my player of the game, obviously in that match, went to number 4 from the Panthers. I think it was number 3 or number 4. I'm not too sure about that, but in that match, went to Matt Burton, who I think played a wonderful game and really scored 3 tries in that match. I just think that he did a wonderful play and basically scored 3 tries in that match anyway. And finally, the next game of that match, we see the Eels going up against the Manly Seagulls. Now, in this match, the Manly Seagulls in this game, I was there vlogging that match, and this game was absolutely embarrassing because this match was absolutely really horrifying and really terrible and horrible in this game. And my, like, what I think in this game, like, a lot of people may think, oh, it's just a robbery. Oh, was this like a terrible match? This game was absolute robbery, and because the refs were on their side, I just didn't think that in this game was just really terrible. And I didn't think that the Manly Seagulls were going to win in that game. And it was 28 points to 6 that scoreline was. I just didn't think that the Manly Seagulls were going to win in that game. And it was basically our home game anyway, but we didn't get the win in that match. But in my, like, what I think about that game, like the recap of it, was the Eels, Wonga Blake was absolutely shocking in that game. And what I think about this game, like, the Eels were really, like, terrible and didn't get the job done, unfortunately. But yeah, I felt so sorry for the Parramatta Eels because they are a really good team. They are sitting on 3rd place position at the moment. I just don't think, like, wait, no, hang on, sorry. I think they're either sitting 3rd or 4th position. I'm not too sure about that anyway. Yeah, 28 points to 6 the scoreline in that match. But the only try that scored in that game for the Parramatta Eels was Clint Gutherson. But let's have a look at the Manly Seagulls tries. What we have here is Brad Parker that scored 2 tries, Carl Orton, Ruben Garrick, and Tom Travojevic. And my player of the game went to number 1 from the Manly Seagulls, Tom Travojevic. Thanks guys for watching my video, guys. Stay tuned for more. We'll be doing a couple of videos coming to you guys soon. Also, I'll be doing more videos coming to you guys soon, so stay tuned for more. Plus, leave a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and for this video. And I'll see you guys for the next video. Till then, take care guys. Stay safe and have a good one. Plus, let's go up to 300 subscribers. We're sitting on 211 anyway. So let's go up to that. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.